So,
Yeah,
Peter,
okay.
can you just explain where your case is at now?
Okay. But in the trial court, we had a district court judge that decided on the motion to dismiss that was raised by.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the explosive legal battle between Meghan Markle and her half-sister, Samantha Markle. Samantha has accused Meghan of playing the race card to manipulate public perception and destroy her reputation. Is Meghan really using identity politics as a shield, or is Samantha just bitter?
Meghan Markle. And the motion to dismiss basically was saying, well, if you look at this comment and you look at this comment and you look at this comment, they all either mean nothing or their opinion or whatever. And and so the judge basically agreed with them and threw the case out. When then we filed the notice of appeal, and at this point, our brief has been filed, and Meghan Markle's brief has been filed, and now we just have to file our reply brief, and then the case will be getting ready for oral argument and a decision. But I would want to point out, what am I talking about in terms of these different things that were said? So, would it be all right if I explain that to you now?
Please.
Okay. So, just to give a for instance, okay. I remember, by the way, Shapiro in the OJ trial, put those glasses and said, I can't read with them. I can't. Okay, so if we just kind of take a look, okay. So it said one of the things she said is, you don't know me. Betrayal comes from somebody that you have a relationship with. So really, how is that all by itself? How is that defamation? It's not. All by itself, it just is a statement. Doesn't say, it doesn't say Samantha Markle is dishonest. Samantha Markle is an opportunist. Samantha Markle is this or that. It's basically just saying these words. You don't know me. Betrayal comes from somebody you have a relationship with. Or the next one, I grew up as an only child and I wish I had siblings. Or where she then said that it's been at least 18, 19 years ago since she saw Samantha, which wasn't true. And 10 years before that, which wasn't true. And then also Samantha changed her name back to Markle.
We've got all the details, so stay tuned. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest drama. All right, let's start with the facts. Samantha Markle filed a defamation lawsuit against Meghan, claiming that Meghan spread false and damaging statements about her. Meghan allegedly downplayed their relationship.
When Meghan started dating Prince Harry, that's the way that Meghan
Meghan.
Markle, but Meghan Markle, in putting it that way, was not being honest, because the actual quote was, uh, Samantha changed her surname back to Markle only when Markle started dating Prince Harry. So when I started dating Prince Harry is what she said. So, the fact is, if you take them all by themselves, they're really meaningless. But when you put them all together, which they're said together, and you put them all together, it's basically making Samantha Markle look like she's some kind of a stranger to her, who is now trying to cash in on this whole thing, because Samantha wrote a book, and the book wasn't really about her sister, but the title kind of used the word pushy sister. And so without ever reading the book, Meghan Markle decided, I'm going to destroy that book. Nobody's going to read it because I'm going to destroy Samantha's reputation in the media. But when you're talking about somebody that is at that time dating Prince Harry and so on, you're talking about someone who, a normal person would say something like that, even if they could get it in the newspaper. Maybe it's a little bit of a negative thing to somebody. But when you have millions of people that are reading these things or hearing these things from Meghan Markle, it becomes so much worse. And it did become so much worse in the Netflix series that she did, because there she had this Christopher Boozy.
Boozy, yes.
Yes. Uh, which is, I don't really want to tell you what I think about Christopher Boozy. Let's just say
Would have
there's
to be
nothing.
censored. I feel exactly the same, Peter, believe me.
I have nothing good to say about that person, but he had terrible things to say. I mean, the things that he said, he basically called. Yeah, I've seen this actually. These very comments.
calling herself an only child and implying Samantha was a stranger just trying to cash in on her fame. Samantha's legal team argues that Meghan strategically plays the race card to silence critics and shift the narrative in her favor. For years, she rarely addressed her racial identity. But suddenly, when criticism started rolling in, her race became a major talking point.
Looked at by another commentator recently who was saying this is actually showing racism against white women. And when you think about it, it really is. Christopher Boozy's is a black individual. I don't think it matters. What he did is just despicable, no matter what kind of color he is. But the fact of the matter is that these things that he said, where he basically is saying things like, "Oh God, this is not your everyday trolling. It's insane," and it was done by people who are not the typical unique trolls. These are housewives. These are middle-aged Caucasian women. Okay, so there's no question he's pointing out that group. And then he basically says Samantha Markle was part of the group that was putting out this information. Well, in other words, okay, if you have a group, like if you have a group of people that put up Confederate flags, some of them may be racist, some of them may not be racist. And there's case law that basically says you can't include everybody in a group. But if the group is defined as everybody that puts up Confederate flags, the one thing is they all are putting up Confederate flags, as that's the defining factor that puts them in the group. So here he's saying that Samantha Markle put out this information because she belongs to a group of people who put out this information. That means that she herself puts out this information. So she's accusing her of being a liar, being dishonest, because the one thing we know about this information is it's not true.
Samantha and many others believe she's using it as a weapon to dodge legitimate criticism. Is it a smart PR move or just a shift in self-awareness? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying the deep dive, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Meghan's legal defense is that her statements were just opinions, not defamation.
Okay.
And just before you go on, Sam, do you feel like Meghan and her Sussex squad trolls, like Christopher Boozy, were using anti-white racism against you?
Well, I do. Any suggestion that I could or would ever be part of a hate group, and that was the overtone and implication. It was pretty clear. I believe that was the motive. It will incite a lot of violence. So certainly it's baseless. I mean, like Peter said, if I was online defending my dad and saying that's not true, that doesn't make me part of the rest of the population, millions of people around the world who are having their own opinions and who are saying things because of controversial headlines, because they were forming an opinion based on observable actions. But that doesn't make me part of their group. I'm a family member, and we had our own opinions, valid, unique, separate from the opinions of the public. And if based on observable actions, sometimes those opinions intersected, as a family member, I certainly felt like it was my right under the Constitution to express that and express what I disagreed with. That doesn't make me a basher. It doesn't make me the leader of a hate group.
No, of course,
because it had nothing to do with race. So he's applying labels that are wholly inaccurate, and I think that's actionable.
And just to clarify, Sam,
direction.
growing up, Meghan identified as Caucasian, didn't she? Or at least on her acting form, she was identifying as Caucasian.
Samantha argues that Meghan's comments were deliberate attacks designed to ruin her credibility. Figures like Christopher Bouzy have actively worked to discredit Meghan's critics, often labeling them as racist. Samantha claims this is all part of a coordinated effort to make any criticism of Meghan seem like hate speech.
Correct. And reportedly on her driver's license. And, you know, I would say looking back at her social circles that I saw and the men who she dated and married, certainly, you know, I think there was an affinity towards white privilege, if you want to call it that. So, you know, in my opinion, playing the race card seems opportunistic on the grounds that it was never a focal part of her identity, never on the TIG that I saw, never in her social circles. She never belonged to a Black sorority in school. Or, you know, the schools that she went to were very eclectic and diverse. And that was great. But that being said, if you look at who she married and surrounded herself with, I don't feel that she has license to play the race card. Personal opinion.
Indeed. So Peter, back to the case. Are you confident that now this Democratic judge is out the way, who seemed to me to be completely in Meghan's camp for political reasons? Do you feel more confident now that it's in the appeal court?
Feel I'm going to get a fair shake. Now, I don't want to say that this judge acted out of bias,
No.
just because she was appointed by.
No, you can't say that. I
Barack
can say
Hussein
that.
Obama. There are appointees on the bench that were appointed by Obama who were just wonderful, fair judges. And so to smear her with an unfair brush and saying that this is what motivated her to make the decision she made, I can't say that in all fairness. I can say it may.
If Samantha wins, it could set a huge legal precedent for public figures who spread misleading narratives. If Meghan wins, it could reinforce the idea that celebrities can say almost anything without consequences. What do you think? Is Meghan genuinely a victim or a master manipulator? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this wild case. Until next time, stay tuned. Subscribe now.